21 signs your body is trying to tell you something. Your body constantly sends signals about your health. Understanding these signs can help detect problems early, before a minor imbalance turns into a chronic condition. 1. The chronic drain, fatigue, and stress. Imagine your body as a battery that never quite reaches a full charge, no matter how long it stays plugged in. When you experience persistent fatigue, your body is telling you that its energy production is being sabotaged. This often happens because chronic stress keeps your fight or flight system locked in the on position, flooding your system with cortisol. Cortisol is designed for short bursts of energy, but when it remains elevated, it disrupts your mitochondrial function, the tiny power plants inside your cells. This biological exhaustion is your body's way of forcing a slowdown to prevent a total systemic collapse. It is a loud, persistent plea for a change in environment, better sleep hygiene, or a reduction in the mental load that is literally draining your cellular fuel reserves. 2. The thirst alarm, frequent dehydration. If you find yourself reaching for a glass of water every few minutes, your body is sounding a high-level fluid alarm. Frequent thirst is the hypothalamus, your brain's control center, detecting that your blood is becoming too concentrated. When you are dehydrated, your blood volume drops, making it thicker and harder to pump. To compensate, the brain triggers a thirst response to force an intake of fluids and signals the kidneys to conserve water, often resulting in darker urine. However, if thirst is constant despite drinking water, it may be a sign that your cells aren't absorbing that moisture effectively, sometimes indicating an electrolyte imbalance or a blood sugar issue. Your thirst is a direct metric of your internal salinity and the efficiency of your circulatory system. 3. The iron deficiency glow, pale skin. Your skin acts as a visual map of what is happening in your blood. When your complexion becomes unusually pale, your body is likely struggling to produce enough hemoglobin, the protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen and gives blood its bright red color. Without sufficient iron, your body cannot manufacture this oxygen taxi. As a result, the blood flowing through the capillaries near the surface of your skin becomes less saturated with oxygen and lighter in color. This paleness is often most visible in the inner eyelids, gums, and nail beds. It is your body's way of signaling that your vital organs are competing for a limited supply of oxygen, and you are running low on the raw materials needed to keep your energy levels and cellular respiration functioning at peak performance. 4. The airway guardian, persistent cough. A cough that refuses to leave is your respiratory system's way of telling you that the security fence of your lungs is under constant attack. Your trachea and bronchi are lined with incredibly sensitive nerve endings and microscopic brooms called cilia. When these are irritated by chronic inflammation, environmental toxins, or a lingering infection, they trigger a reflex to physically blast the irritant out of your body. A persistent cough means your body is stuck in a loop of trying to clear an obstruction or heal damaged tissue that isn't recovering. It is a sign that your primary defense against the outside world is compromised, and your lungs are struggling to maintain the sterile environment required for the efficient exchange of oxygen into your bloodstream. 5. The neural squeeze, tension headaches. A headache is rarely just a pain in the head. It is a complex neurological response to internal or external pressure. Tension headaches often feel like a tight band squeezing your skull, which is your body's reaction to physical or emotional stress. When you are stressed or poorly hydrated, the muscles in your neck and scalp contract involuntarily. This contraction reduces blood flow to the surrounding tissues and irritates the nerves. Simultaneously, dehydration causes your brain tissue to lose water and shrink slightly, pulling away from the skull and triggering pain receptors in the protective membranes. Your headache is a system error message, warning you that your nervous system is overtaxed. Your muscles are locked in a defensive state, and your brain is struggling to function in a fluid-deprived environment. 6. The nutrient map, dry skin. While we often treat dry skin with external lotions, your skin is actually a living reflection of your internal nutritional status. When your skin becomes chronically dry or flaky, your body may be signaling a deficiency in essential fatty acids, such as omega-3s, or vital vitamins like A and E. These nutrients are the mortar that holds your skin cells together, creating a waterproof barrier that prevents moisture from evaporating. Without them, the cellular structure becomes leaky, leading to rapid dehydration of the epidermis. Furthermore, dry skin can be a sign that your body is diverting its limited resources toward more vital internal organs, leaving the skin, the largest organ, to suffer the consequences of a nutrient drought. It is a persistent request from your biology to replenish the building blocks required for cellular repair and moisture retention. 7. The microbial signal, bad breath. Persistent bad breath, or halitosis, is rarely just a matter of what you ate. It is a chemical signal from the trillions of bacteria living in your mouth and gut. When you have dental problems or gum disease, anaerobic bacteria thrive in the oxygen-deprived pockets of your gums, releasing volatile sulfur compounds that produce a distinct odor. However, bad breath can also be a scent marker for internal issues. For instance, a fruity smell can indicate a blood sugar imbalance, while a fishy odor might signal kidney issues. Your breath is essentially an exhaust pipe for your internal chemistry. When the smell remains despite brushing, your body is warning you that a specific bacterial colony or a metabolic process is out of balance, requiring a deeper look into your oral hygiene or systemic health. 8. The emergency brake. Chest pain. Chest pain is the most aggressive stop command your body can issue. Your heart is a muscle that requires a constant, high-pressure supply of oxygenated blood. When you feel pain or pressure in the chest, it is often angina, a signal that the heart muscle is literally suffocating because the coronary arteries are too narrow to provide the necessary fuel. This pain can also be referred from the esophagus, acid reflux, or the lungs, but the brain treats it as a high-priority emergency. The sensation of a heavy weight on the chest is your nervous system's way of forcing you to cease all physical activity to lower the heart's oxygen demand. It is a critical warning that your primary pump is under extreme mechanical stress and that the biological infrastructure supporting your life is at risk of failure. 9. The inflammatory flood. Swelling. Swelling or edema happens when your body's fluid management system experiences a structural failure. When an area of your body is injured or inflamed, your immune system releases chemicals that make the local blood vessels leaky. This allows plasma and white blood cells to flood the surrounding tissue to begin the healing process. However, if swelling occurs without a clear injury, it may signal that your heart or kidneys are struggling to move fluid effectively through your system. Gravity causes this excess fluid to settle in the ankles and feet. This puffiness is your body's way of showing you that it is holding on to water it cannot process, serving as a visual indicator of internal pressure imbalances or a lymphatic system that is struggling to clear out cellular waste. 10. The stress fallout, hair loss. Your hair follicles are among the most metabolically active cells in your body, but they are also considered non-essential for survival. When you experience high levels of physical or emotional stress, your body enters a survival mode called telogen effluvium. It shifts its energy away from growing hair and redirects it toward vital organs like the heart and brain. This causes a large number of hair follicles to enter a resting phase simultaneously, leading to significant thinning or shedding weeks after the stressful event. Hair loss is your body's way of telling you that its internal energy budget is overextended. It is a visible sign that your systemic resources are being drained by stress, hormonal shifts, or nutritional gaps, forcing the body to sacrifice its decorations to maintain its core functions. 11. The adrenaline spike, rapid heartbeat. When your heart begins to race while you're sitting still, your autonomic nervous system is firing a false alarm. This is often the result of an anxiety-induced adrenaline dump. Your brain perceives a mental threat and prepares the body for a physical fight, causing the heart to pump faster to move blood to the muscles. However, a rapid heartbeat, tachycardia, can also be a sign of electrical interference in the heart's natural pacemaker or a result of an overactive thyroid gland. Your heart is responding to a chemical or electrical command to speed up. If there is no physical reason to run, the racing pulse is a sign that your internal wiring is hyperexcitable or that your body's hormonal signals are keeping you in a state of permanent, unnecessary readiness. 12. The oxygen hunger, shortness of breath. Feeling like you can't get enough air is a terrifying sensation known as dyspnea. This occurs when the chemoreceptors in your brain detect that your blood carbon dioxide levels are too high or your oxygen levels are too low. Your body responds by forcing you to breathe faster and deeper to correct the balance. This can be caused by the lungs struggling to move air, asthma or inflammation, or by the heart failing to pump oxygen-rich blood effectively. Shortness of breath is your body's most urgent way of telling you that its gas exchange system is failing. It is a sign of air hunger, indicating that your cellular engines are stalling because they aren't receiving the vital oxygen needed to produce energy, requiring immediate investigation into your respiratory or cardiovascular health. 13. The hormonal shift, sudden weight change. Your weight is governed by a delicate balance of metabolic hormones, primarily those produced by the thyroid and adrenal glands. If you lose or gain weight suddenly without changing your diet, your body is telling you that its internal thermostat is broken. An overactive thyroid, hyperthyroidism, can cause your metabolism to burn through fuel at an impossible rate, leading to rapid weight loss. Conversely, issues with insulin or cortisol can cause your body to obsessively store fat as a protective measure against perceived famine or stress. Sudden weight change is a sign that your endocrine system is sending the wrong instructions to your cells, disrupting the way you store and use energy, and potentially signaling a deeper systemic imbalance that requires professional recalibration. 14. The sugar roller coaster. Constant hunger. If you feel hungry again shortly after a meal, your body is likely struggling with a blood sugar crash. When you consume high sugar or refined carb meals, your blood glucose spikes, prompting a massive release of insulin. This insulin often works too well, causing your blood sugar to plummet below normal levels. Your brain, which relies exclusively on glucose for fuel, perceives this drop as a starvation emergency and triggers intense hunger to force you to eat again. This cycle is a sign of insulin sensitivity issues. Constant hunger is your body's way of telling you that it is failing to maintain a stable energy supply, leaving you trapped in a metabolic loop where your cells are surrounded by energy they cannot properly access or regulate. 15. The nerve whisper, tingling and numbness. The pins and needles sensation, known as paresthesia, is the sound of your nervous system struggling to send a signal. This happens when a nerve is physically compressed or when the blood supply to the nerve is restricted. If the tingling is persistent, it may signal that the protective coating of your nerves, the myelin sheath, is damaged, or that you have a deficiency in B vitamins, which are essential for nerve health. Tingling is your body's way of saying, "I can't hear the brain." It is a warning that the electrical cables of your body are being pinched, irritated, or degraded, and that the communication between your limbs and your central command center is being dangerously interrupted. 16. Cellular exhaustion, muscle weakness. When your muscles feel heavy, as if filled with lead, without the clear justification of a recent intense workout, your body is signaling a significant failure in its electrochemical engine. The process of muscle contraction is a complex engineering feat that relies on an ultra-precise exchange of electrolytes, specifically sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium, across cellular membranes. If your system suffers from a deficiency in these minerals or a severe lack of vitamin D, the electrical signal traveling from your brain to the muscle fibers becomes muffled, weak, and intermittent. Furthermore, persistent muscle weakness can be an early clinical sign of mitochondrial dysfunction, a state where the tiny power plants inside your cells stop producing sufficient adenosine triphosphate, ATP, the universal currency of biological energy. Your body is essentially informing you that its battery terminals are corroded and the fuel line is obstructed. This is not merely tiredness. It is a persistent plea to replenish micronutrient levels and investigate why your musculoskeletal system can no longer meet the mechanical demands of daily life. If ignored, this cellular energy crisis can lead to long-term tissue atrophy and a permanent decline in physical metabolic capacity. 17. Nervous system overload, insomnia. Insomnia is rarely just a consequence of not being tired. Rather, it is a critical alarm indicating that your autonomic nervous system is trapped in a state of pathological hyperarousal. Under normal conditions, as darkness falls, the brain should transition from a sympathetic state, action, defense, to a parasympathetic state, rest, digestion. However, chronic stress and high systemic cortisol levels lock the fight-or-flight switch in the on position. On a biological level, your brain perceives the environment as unsafe, making it impossible to descend into the deep, restorative stages of REM and slow-wave sleep. This state of internal guard duty prevents the brain from performing its essential nightly glymphatic cleaning, a process that flushes out neurotoxins and metabolic waste accumulated during the day. Insomnia is your body's way of saying that its stress response system is broken. It leaves your mind in a state of perpetual scanning for non-existent threats, leading to a dangerous accumulation of mental and physical degradation that cannot be rectified by a short rest, eventually impacting cognitive clarity, emotional stability, and long-term cardiovascular health. 18. The circulatory shadow, dark circles. While often dismissed as a mere cosmetic defect or a sign of aging, dark circles under the eyes are a vital window into your circulatory health and the status of your adrenal glands. The skin around the eyes is the thinnest on the entire human body, containing almost no subcutaneous fat. When you are in a state of chronic exhaustion or severe dehydration, the blood vessels beneath this delicate skin dilate and become much more visible, creating a dark, bruised appearance. Furthermore, these shadows can be a sign of allergic shiners, where chronic sinus congestion causes blood to pool in the small veins under the eyes due to restricted drainage. From a biological perspective, this may also indicate that your kidneys are struggling to filter toxins effectively, or that your adrenal glands are depleted from overproducing stress hormones. These shadows are your body's visual documentation of internal stagnation and systemic exhaustion. They signal that your blood is not flowing as cleanly or as oxygen-rich as it should be, suggesting that your internal filtration and circulation systems are overwhelmed and requiring immediate nutritional and lifestyle intervention to restore vascular integrity. 19. The equilibrium error, dizziness. Feeling lightheaded or dizzy is your brain's urgent way of communicating that its spatial awareness and life support systems are receiving conflicting or inadequate data. This often occurs due to a sudden drop in blood pressure, known as orthostatic hypotension, where the heart fails to pump blood against gravity to the brain quickly enough when you change positions. Dizziness can also be a signal of an inner ear imbalance, where the fluid-filled canals governing your sense of gravity are inflamed or contain displaced calcium crystals. Your brain is essentially losing its GPS signal. On a deeper level, it can indicate an electrolyte imbalance or a drop in blood glucose, both of which are essential for the neural firing required for balance. This sensation is a protective emergency brake designed to prevent you from falling and sustaining an injury. It is a critical warning to slow down, hydrate, and recalibrate your internal pressure, as it indicates that your central nervous system is struggling with its most basic evolutionary function, keeping you upright and oriented within a three-dimensional environment while ensuring the command center remains adequately oxygenated. 20. Molecular friction, joint pain. When your joints ache without a specific physical injury, your body is reporting a state of systemic molecular friction. Joints are protected by cartilage and lubricated by synovial fluid, which allows for frictionless movement. Persistent pain is often the result of chronic systemic inflammation, where your immune system mistakenly attacks the joint lining, or a severe lack of lubricating nutrients like collagen, hyaluronic acid, and healthy fats. This molecular rust causes the smooth surfaces of the joints to become rough and inflamed, leading to the sensation of grinding stiffness or heat. Joint pain is your body's way of signaling that your internal inflammatory temperature is dangerously high. It is a warning that the structural hinges of your skeletal frame are being degraded by your own internal chemistry. This signal demands an investigation into your diet, autoimmune health, and activity levels before the mechanical damage to the cartilage becomes permanent. It is a clear indication that the body's repair mechanisms are being outpaced by inflammatory destruction, necessitating a shift toward an anti-inflammatory lifestyle to preserve mobility. 21. The defensive inferno, fever. A fever is the most unmistakable and aggressive system alert your body can generate. It is a highly coordinated systemic response triggered by the hypothalamus to create a hostile, scorched earth environment for invading pathogens. By raising your internal temperature, your body intentionally accelerates the metabolic rate of your immune cells, making them faster, more aggressive, and more efficient at identifying and destroying viruses. Simultaneously, many bacteria and viruses have an extremely narrow thermal range in which they can successfully replicate. The heat essentially stalls the invasion. However, a fever is also a high-stakes gamble that causes significant internal stress, leading to muscle aches, severe dehydration, and metabolic exhaustion. It is your body's total war policy, a desperate, high-energy tactic to win a microscopic battle for survival. A fever is the ultimate proof that your immune system has identified a high-level threat and has shifted every available biological resource into a combat footing. It serves as a final, undeniable warning that your system is under siege and requires absolute rest and hydration to prevent the biological fire from damaging your own vital organs while it incinerates the enemy.